What's up, everybody, and welcome back for a brand new video. And today I am going to be breaking down and giving my prediction and final score for Super Bowl 60 going down in Santa Clara. We got the Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots. So first, I'm going to give my prediction and final score, and then I'm going to break down the game and kind of really explain why I am picking who I am. So first, my prediction. I'm picking the Seattle Seahawks to win this game 27-20. I think that we are in for a nail-biter here. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that seem to think that the Seattle Seahawks are just going to blow out the Patriots and run away with this game. And maybe they do. But I have a lot more respect for this New England Patriots football team and what Mike Vrabel has been able to do with this franchise this year. So let's talk about this matchup, because I think that their journeys this year have been really fascinating, right? You get Sam Darnold, who, in my opinion, the Minnesota Vikings should have kept around, right? That's looking like an awful decision on the side of the Minnesota Vikings, and that's the reason that I think some people just recently got fired, man. You let Sam Darnold walk out that door when he led you to a 14-win season and put up incredible numbers. So his first season in Seattle, he walks in the door, and they got playmakers all over the place. They got an elite defense. They got a great coaching staff. And Sam Darnold has just taken his game to the next level, right? The Seahawks go 14-3 on the year. They get the 1 seed. They go out there and stomp the San Francisco 49ers at home. And then most recently, they go out and beat the LA Rams in a shootout at home to win the NFC Championship in what I thought was the most impressive game of Sam Darnold's career and the biggest win of his career by far, and I called it. I said Sam Darnold was going to go out there and go off against the Rams. Now, what has been the most impressive thing to me about the Seahawks and Sam Darnold in the postseason here? One, their defense has been really, really good. Wasn't as good against the Rams, but again, that's who I think is going to win the MVP, and Matt Stafford, and that super explosive offense. There's that familiarity, right? They're division rivals, all these kinds of things. And that's just the way that those games go. They come down to the wire. But Sam Darnold has not been turning the football over in the postseason. And to me, that is a huge factor coming into this game. Will Sam Darnold continue to take care of the football? Because what we've seen on the other side is the New England Patriots, who have had a very, very good season. And I've been saying all year long that the Patriots have been playing some of the best team ball in the league. Very unselfish football, from the receiving core to the quarterback to the linemen to the defense to the special teams. All you see from the Patriots is a complete team effort. Not that you don't see that from the Seahawks. That's just something that's really stood out to me all year long from the New England Patriots. And I think that that's a big reason that they're here in this position. Nobody really thought that they were going to go to the Super Bowl. And what we've seen from them in the postseason, we saw Drake May, who was an MVP candidate all year long, led the league in completion percentage, absolutely balled this year. They get to the postseason, and it's been a little bit of a different story. Now, I got to say, I feel like a lot of that is because of the defenses that they have been going up against. The Patriots have been facing an absolute gauntlet since they have hit the postseason. Game 1, they got to take on the LA Chargers. Now, the Chargers had a complete deflated offensive line up front to where this New England defense just absolutely harassed and teed off on Justin Herbert. They shut down the run game. They got after him. It was a disaster for the Chargers. But Drake May put the ball on the deck a lot of times, right? He did the same thing against the Houston Texans. He was putting the ball in harm's way, holding onto the ball for too long, trying to force some things into the pocket to where he was fumbling the football and turning it over. But what did we see in the Denver Broncos game? We saw him take care of the football, make good decisions, make some big plays with his legs, and really lean into that defense. Because the biggest takeaway that I have from the Patriots coming into the Super Bowl here, Mike Vrabel and this defense have just went to another level in the postseason, because not only did they harass Justin Herbert and force a bunch of mistakes, not only did they harass C.J. Stroud and force him to turn the football over numerous times, they completely took away the run game, completely shut it down. And that has got to be a big focus for the Patriots coming into this game, because I think Seattle's priority number 1 is going to be to get the run game going. Do not let this red-hot New England Patriots pass rush get after you, because one of the things about the Patriots, right, and one of the best signings that we had in the offseason this year was the Patriots bringing in Milton Williams. The job that he has done on the interior of that defensive line, it's just been such a boost for this New England Patriots defense. But the Patriots secondary, They are really, really good. They got, in my opinion, easily a top 5 corner in the league in Christian Gonzalez. They got Marcus Jones. They got playmakers all over the place on that back end. And they got some guys that just are hard-nosed, hard hitters at the linebacking position in Robert Spillane and Caden Ellis. And those dudes love to fly around. They love to thump and kind of impose their will on opposing offenses. So it's going to be important for them to take away the run game, because if you can make this Seattle offense very one-dimensional and you can hit Sam Darnold and get after him, that is going to be the path to victory for New England to be able to win this game. Play through their defense, and on the offensive side of the ball, Drake May has got to protect the football because he's going up against what I think is the most elite defense in the league in the Seattle Seahawks. But what we saw from Drake May against the Broncos, did not turn the football over, made good decisions, made some crucial plays with his legs, and made a huge throw to Mac Hollins on that little flea flicker that was one of the big plays in the game that helped them get it done against the Denver Broncos. So we know the Seahawks. We know what they're going to do. They're going to come out. Clint Kubiak has been one of the best offensive minds in the league. That's why the Raiders are going to be hiring him to be their next head coach. He's done a tremendous job with this Seattle offense. He's going to want to get the run game going. And I know it's a massive blow, right? Losing Zach Charbonnet a game or two ago, right, out for the year. That is a crushing blow. But what did we see in that NFC Championship game against the Rams? A heavy dose of K9, a heavy dose of Kenneth Walker, and that's what I think we are going to see in this game, because the Seahawks have a really good offensive line. Abraham Lucas and those dudes up front, they're very good in pass pro. They're very good in getting that push to get the, open up the running lanes for Walker and these backs to hit the holes and make some big plays. And that's what the Seahawks are going to look to do, because Clint Kubiak's been dialing it up all year long. He's very, very creative. The zone run scheme, the motions, giving you all this eye candy and really starting to set up the play action pass. Because if you let the Seahawks get the run game going to where they can start running play action and Darnold could turn his back to the defense and start hitting these intermediate routes, and you start to isolate JSN and Cooper Kupp, this offense will absolutely shred you. But make no mistake about it, what we've seen from Sam in the postseason this year, he's not afraid to be like, you guys know we're passing. I'm going to line back up in the shotgun. I'm going to drop back in a tough situation, and I'm just going to shred your secondary. That's exactly what he did to the Rams. Now, I know that the Rams, their front is good. Their linebacking core is decent. They don't have nearly as good of a secondary as the New England Patriots. But I feel like Clint Kubiak's going to have it dialed up. He's going to come out, look to run the football, get very creative, because one thing about Clint, he knows how to dial it up to get the ball in the hands of their playmakers. And I think Mike Vrabel and the Patriots are going to come into this game saying, there ain't no way JSN's beating us. Whether we got to double them, no matter what we do, we cannot lose this game by JSN going off and like he did against the Rams. We can't let that happen, because if the Patriots let that happen, they're losing this game. Because Jackson Smith-Njigba, to me, he's easily a top 5 receiver in the National Football League. What a year he has had. So very simple. Seahawks are going to get the run game going, set up the play action pass, get the ball into their hands of their playmakers, and I think that that's going to be enough to get the job done. But the big X factor for me is that defense. The job that Mike Macdonald has done since coming over to Seattle, and GM John Snyder, the personnel that they've brought into the building, and you see in this graphic here, Nick Eamon-Warry, I think he's the rookie of the year. He is one of my favorite players in the league right now. The job that he does, he reminds me so much of Cam Chancellor, a big physical safety that can drop down into the box, play linebacker, play safety. He can cover guys out on the perimeter. He was strapping Devontae Adams. He was strapping Puka Nacua. He is a diverse chess piece on this defense that Drake May has got to be alert for at all times. But I think Mike Macdonald, they love to play a lot of zone. We saw some man against the Rams in that game because they had to change it up, because if you play zone against Matthew Stafford, he's just going to shred you. And Matthew Stafford had a huge game, right? So if Drake May can sit back and find those windows and beat this zone coverage and start to make this Seattle defense react, and he can get the ball out of his hands and take care of it, I think the Patriots are going to be able to put up some points in this game. They got a good receiving core, Stephon Diggs, Kayshon Boutte. They got some good backs, right? Travion Henderson, Ramondre Stevenson. And what have we seen from Josh McDaniels in the postseason? All his time as an offensive play caller in the league, when it hits the postseason time, let's get the tight ends involved. Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper, and the backs in the passing game. Now, what's going to be interesting to watch is how they're going to be able to do that, because Nick Eamon-Warry, he is an eraser. If they don't want the tight end to catch the football, they just stick Nick on him. You don't want the back catching the ball out of the backfield, they just have Nick shadow the running back out of the backfield. That's one of the big reasons the 49ers could not move the football very well against this Seattle defense. But we have seen as good as this Seahawks defense is, as aggressive as that front is with Leonard Williams, Murphy on the interior, DeMarcus Lawrence off the edge, Mafe, Hall, they got depth when it comes to getting after the quarterback. They tend to give up quite a bit of yards, right? And I feel like Josh McDaniels is going to have a plan to be able to get after this zone coverage. And when they get those man-to-man opportunities, they're going to try to take some shots, because I still think Stephon Diggs, he's one of the best receivers in the league. He's got sure hands. He's a very hard guy to cover one-on-one. And what we've seen from the Seahawks, they got these two big athletic corners on the outside, and Reek Woolen and Devin Witherspoon, right? And Jobs kind of came on, right? They got Kobe Bryant in the secondary as well. This is a very good defense. They rally, they come up, they make tackles, they can put the pressure on the quarterback, they cover very well. But if you can get the run game going, take some of the pressure off Drake May, play action pass, and hit those in-breaking routes over the middle, which is where we've seen the Rams have a ton of success against this defense, I think that's going to be the strategy for the Patriots coming into this game. But for me, it's just going to come down to the fact that I think Sam Darnold is playing at an unbelievably high level. I think he's playing just about as good as we've seen a quarterback play all year long. He's hit a different stride since he's hit the postseason. And I said after they beat the Rams in that second game in the regular season, where they came roaring back in the fourth quarter, he led, the game-winning drive to where they win in overtime. I'm like, Sam Darnold's confidence is going to be forever changed, right? Leading a comeback against your kryptonite, right? What was the big knock on Sam Darnold, right? In Minnesota, they get to the playoffs. They get bounced by the Rams. He didn't play a good game. The first game of the year, they play the Rams. What happened? Sam Darnold threw like 4 interceptions. That's basically the reason they lost. But having said all that, they still were a game-winning field goal away from winning that game. And then in the second game, he threw multiple interceptions again. But then this postseason, he overcomes, that kryptonite of the Rams and goes out there and balls on them, man. And I think Sam Darnold's going to do it again. They're going to get the run game going. They're going to set up the play-action pass. But even if the run game isn't cooking like what it usually is, we have seen that Sam Darnold can sit back there, go through his progressions. He's got some great playmakers to work with. They got a very unselfish group. They got a very good tight end group to where they don't mind blocking, being security blankets underneath for Darnold. I think Kubiak's going to have multiple ways to get after this defense, man. I think they're going to run the football. They're going to bring in these different backs. They're going to help take some of the pressure off of Kenneth Walker, but I think we're going to see a heavy dose of Walker in the run game and the passing game, and then we're going to see them take some shots down the field to JSN. And as I said, coming into the NFC Championship game, you've got to watch out for Rashid Shaheed. They split him out wide. They hit him on a nice go ball. Obviously, he is a huge weapon in the return game. Reminds me of a Deshaun Jackson, Devin Hester-esque type of player. He's a difference maker in the return game. So New England's got to be very careful punting and kicking the football to him. So for me, the run game, the play action pass, and this elite defense that we are seeing from Seattle, we've seen Drake May and this offense have some issues against these really good defenses. They only put up 16 points against the Chargers in the first playoff game. They put up, I think it was 28 against the Houston Texans, and Stroud turned the ball over numerous times. And then in a very low-scoring, gritty battle, and I know the weather was a factor late in the game, they really struggled to move the football against the Denver Broncos. I think the Seahawks are another really good defense that they have to play. I think the Texans and the Seahawks are the two best in the league. Another tough assignment for the Patriots. I'm picking the Seahawks because of that defense, because Sam Darnold's playing at a high level, and they got explosive playmakers all over the place. And with Kubiak and McDonald, I think that they are going to be very prepared. I love the coaching battle. Vrabel and McDaniels versus McDonald and Kubiak. It's going to be a fun Super Bowl, man. But at the end of the day, I do think that the Seattle Seahawks are going to go out here and get it done. I like the momentum they have, the confidence Sam Darnold is playing with, the way that they're dialing it up on offense, the way that defense is playing, even though they give up yards. They tighten up in the red zone. And I know that we've seen some good things from this Patriots offense, but they've had some issues with some of these better defenses, and I don't anticipate Sam Darnold turning the football over, giving Drake May and this offense extra possessions. And I think Mike McDonald, the ability to rush with that front, not have to blitz a ton, I think that it's going to cause some issues for Drake May on the back end in this ball game. I'm going Seattle 27-20.